Hello and welcome to the Internet of Things Made Simple. I'm Larry Bohumer. This is special mini episode number 11, in fact, and I thank you for joining us. As always, shout out to our new listeners. Welcome aboard. Check out our webpage, theinternetofThingsMadeSimple.com, which has some phenomenal material on IoT. Of course, I just say so myself, and I kindly ask that you subscribe to this podcast using your favorite podcast service. For those of you who aren't familiar, mini episodes are ones that kind of got caught in the middle. The topic was important, so I definitely wanted to cover it, and it's often timely. But it wasn't long enough to justify a full main segment, but it was too long to stuff it into an open segment, so we put these out from time to time. In this episode, we're going to look at the sport of running, something that is a major part of my life, and how IoT solutions are helping runners at all levels improve their performance through better data in all aspects of the sport. Specifically for today, though, we're going to focus a bit more on how the power of data can be an important tool to allow elite runners to safely push the limits. In one day, it probably is going to help a marathoner break the much publicized 2-hour mark. However, most of these solutions will still apply to the weekend warrior, so you may want to consider them as a way to better improve your overall performance. Now, before I get started, special shout out to all of those who qualified and are running in Boston. It is the pinnacle achievement for the weekend warrior to achieve. You should be proud. Special shout out to Mike Carson from the Sunday Morning Group here in Calgary. He's one of our guys. Enjoy Boston, Mike. As we sit on the precipice of the most well-known marathon race of the year, the Boston Marathon, let's look at where we are in the journey towards breaking 2 hours. The current record, 2:01:39, was set in 2018 in Berlin, which is seeming to be the ideal place to break records. As if I read it right, the top 5 runs that have ever been done by a male are there. In addition, there are 9 other runs that have been sub 2:04, mostly done in the past 10 years. For the average person, you might say, what's a minute and 39 seconds? Can't you just, eat a good breakfast, have a good poop, get a good sleep, and take that off your race? I mean, it's 26 miles afterwards. What's that, like a few seconds per mile? If you're the average runner at home, it's quite likely that you can take off a minute and 39 if you do those things. Not quite the same, though, for the runners at the highest levels. This is a major task, and it's something that experts have claimed might take decades, as today's runners are probably close to hitting the maximum results that a human can achieve. Now, to be clear, a human has run a marathon distance faster than that 2:01:39 mark. It was done on the famous Monza circuit. Current record holder, and I'm going to botch his name, Eliud Kipchoge, did barely miss the 2-hour mark. He missed it by 25 seconds. However, based on the rules for a marathon, it didn't qualify as an official course, as well as the fact that he used pacers to keep the pace. I think it was halfway through they came in. So it does beg the question, can IoT make the difference that will help us break the 2-hour mark? IoT solutions help in a few ways, ranging from things that are done during running, during recovery, and even while lying down. As I've mentioned many times, IoT solutions are all about data. The best ones bring you data in a way that you've never had before. And not only that, they present the data in a way that allows you to take action. This is how it helps businesses, governments, organizations, and marathon runners improve what they're doing. As I hinted, the first way it helps is while you're lying down, and that's how it improves your sleep. One of the first rules to any kind of distance running or long distance activity in general, I guess, this would apply to cyclists and distance swimmers as well, is that you need to give your body ample time to recoup if you're going to be able to perform at your best. You don't do maybe 2 hard days back to back. You take it easy some other days. Resting is good, lying on the couch, but sleeping is when your body does most of its repairing of your tired and sore muscles and aching joints. Now, there's no shortage of solutions out there to help you monitor your sleep. There's free apps on your smartphones. You put them on your phone and you leave it on the bed next to you, and it's going to look at how you slept. There are more advanced solutions using smartwatches, and there are even some that are a bit more extravagant. One form factor of sleep monitoring that I like is placing some kind of a sensor under your mattress. Several solutions can monitor your sleep cycles and even set up a if-then do this or do that model. If it senses that you are too warm, it can change the temperature in the room using a smart thermostat. Another cool solution uses smart pillows. If it senses that you're snoring, it can send a light vibration to tell you to turn over. Mental note, get one of those for the wife. Once you have woken up, multiple solutions can tell you how you slept to let you know what you might want to do for your next day's activities. Now, sleep is far from the only thing that an elite athlete may wish to monitor while lying down in bed. Some are starting to use smart blood pressure and heart rate monitors to determine their true resting heart rate. I mentioned in previous podcasts and in the book, your resting heart rate is a great indicator of your overall health of your heart. I assume that most elite athletes at that level have ridiculously low resting heart rates. That's just due to their extremely high level of conditioning. However, even they are going to notice a slightly higher heart rate some mornings than others. It might be nothing to worry about, but a higher than normal resting heart rate could indicate a few things. It could be your body is working harder than normal to recover from that very vigorous workout. Perhaps you didn't sleep as well as you might have wanted to, or maybe you really do have a cold coming on. In any of these cases, it's a great indicator that you might want to take it a bit easier that day than you might have normally. The next point has to do with a joke that a lot of non-runners have about distance runners, and that's the amount they eat. If you look at the body type of most elite distance runners, you might think they opt for the salad option an awful lot. They don't really have a lot of meat on the bones until you go to a buffet with them after a long run. You see, running 2 to 4 hours at a time, even with their slight physiques and often flawless technique, burns an awful lot of calories. In fact, many distance athletes, not just runners, but especially long-distance cyclists, suffer from the inability to eat enough calories, even if they do indulge on McDonald's post-run marathon eating sessions, which some of them do. I know some of you are listening going, wow, I kill myself to lose weight. That really must be freaking nice. But it is true, keeping weight on for them can be a real concern. Like the sleep part, there's no shortage of ways you can help here. Smart scales can help, smartphone apps. There are camera-based solutions that can log food by taking a picture of it, so it's much more useful than that Instagram crap, and there's many more. These all ensure the athlete is getting not only the right amount of calories, but the right type of calories as well. Okay, enough goofing around time lying down and eating. It's time to get dressed and get your butt out for a run. As the athlete puts on their running shoes and shirt, IoT is starting to spring into action. Many are now using sensors in their shoes to provide valuable information. For the average runner, it might be how long you've run, put it into, one of those running apps, and then remind you to change your shoes. And that is important for the elite runner, but they're really focusing on things like cadence, which I've mentioned before is the number of steps you take per minute. They're looking at the vertical oscillation or the amount of lift off the ground that you do each step, their stride length, and they're looking for other things that the average runner might not be able to maintain consistently. They want to make sure these things are all in the right path. They have it down to a fine science, these guys, so there really isn't much variability. What they're doing is monitoring to make sure the athlete is running at peak performance. If there is a break in form or pace, it could be a potential sign of injury, and it's something they want to keep an eye on. Also, in the clothing itself, like in the shirt and the shorts, are sensors to monitor things like perspiration levels and the amount of breathing or oxygen taking in. Yeah, there are heart rate that's often gathered through a wearable, or more likely at this level, a chest strap. But sweating and breathing levels are also monitored to determine the impact potentially of a warm day or of a cold that you might have noticed you have thanks to that elevated resting heart rate first thing in the morning. Lastly, there is some work being done to help clothing manufacturers improve the wind resistance of their clothing. And that could be the fabric used and or the angles and shape and all the different factors. At this level, it's true that any little advantage you can get makes a huge difference. Elite athletes are often part of this testing. Now you're at race day. You're feeling good, you've trained well, you've eaten well. For an athlete ever to challenge the incredible time of 2 hours for a marathon, it doesn't just have to be an athlete at their best, it's going to have to be optimal right across the board. We mentioned how certain courses like Berlin are much more likely to result in records, but it's also the ideal weather conditions, and that varies by the athlete. Some like it hot, some like it cold. Things like wind direction, humidity levels, and temperature might not be in the athlete's favor that day, meaning that they might not want to push themselves to the same level they would if there was optimal conditions. They can determine this in multiple spots on the course by using real-time sensor-based information, and that's used to allow athletes and their coaches to decide to push the pace or not. Before we finish up, I wanted to add in the last few points for that weekend warrior runner, which I'm definitely one of that group. IoT is all about data. We've said that. But the data only makes a difference if you take action based on it. It's like knowing you have a leaky faucet in your house. If you don't do anything about it, but just know it's leaking, that's not going to help your water bill. Fixing it actually does. IoT will tell you you're not getting enough sleep, you're eating the wrong food, or you shouldn't train too hard because you're sick. but that only helps if you agree to take action. Next, it's easy for anyone, but especially athletes, to get caught up in what's referred to as analysis paralysis, as it's too easy to get driven by the data and forget that running is the most natural sport there is. We've been running for thousands or tens of thousands of years, long before Garmin and Fitbit came along to change what we do. Be sure to use the data only as a guideline and not to rule or run your life or your run. And the last part is IoT does help with all other aspects of your health, which can in turn make you a better runner. It can prevent you from eating foods that you might have an allergy to. It can help you on your visits to the doctor, and we're going to cover that in the next mini episode about heart. It can help alert first responders if you're having a possible heart attack, and it can help you learn more about your health. And if you want to do so, check out some of our earlier podcasts. Health is a very common topic. Well, I hope you enjoyed this mini podcast. Again, good luck to all those running in Boston. Congratulations. I look forward to having you listen to future podcasts. If you want to reach out to us, our Facebook page is the best place to start. The Internet of Things Made Simple, go figure, which has some great material on there, including some stuff on health and running. If we're connected on LinkedIn, drop me a note through there. And if we're personally connected, drop me an email or a text. Thanks again. Take care.